Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to be installing some Evotech radiator guards on the 2023 Aprilia RSV4. Normally I wouldn't even do a video on something like this because generally radiator guards, you kind of just put them on and that's it. Well, on the RSV4s, it does require some disassembly, so I want to get into the details of that to try to be as helpful as possible to you guys. I'm also going to be weighing the radiator guards as well as the hardware to see how much weight we're putting on by adding these guards. Now I've had these guards for a couple weeks. I've kind of been procrastinating putting them on. I put over 400 miles on the RSV4 at this time. I just haven't had a chance to put the guards on, and now I kind of regret it because a rock actually tagged my oil cooler already. Luckily it didn't damage it too much. It just kind of bent up a few of the fins. I'll bend it back. But let that be a lesson to you. Don't procrastinate, don't wait. When you get a bike, make sure you put radiator guards on it immediately, especially if it's an expensive bike. But anyways, guys, let's get some weights going. Let's get the tutorial going. All right, guys, so this is how they come. And here's our part number there. I'll put it in the description as well, just to make it clear. Obviously, this is going to be the one for the oil cooler. So let's go ahead and open them up. Get everything weighed here. Look like typical Evotech quality, which is super nice. Quality is really good. And what I've done here is I've actually bagged up the hardware just so that way it's easier for us to weigh it all. But yeah, super nice. Yeah, very, very nice. I like here that these are actually threaded. They have little inserts here where there's actual threads. It's not like a nut and bolt or screw and bolt. So yeah, very, very nice. Let's go ahead and get some weights going. So it looks like for the oil cooler, looks like we're gonna be at 5 ounces exactly. Okay. And for the big radiator guard, we're gonna be at 10 ounces. So 10 ounces on the 9.9, 10 ounces on the radiator guard, 5 ounces on the oil cooler guard. First thing, let's go ahead and get this belly pan removed. Go ahead and remove these. I've already taken them out, of course, but that's what they look like. It's a 4 millimeter. There is a 3 millimeter right there. And there's another one right there. So you're gonna need a 4 millimeter and 3 millimeter Allen to take that belly pan off. Okay, so we got the belly pan dropped. So just wanted to make note of how all of our drain tubes are run. You can see there's another one here. I wanted to make note as well, there's another 3 millimeter fastener towards the rear. And there's another 3 millimeter here. It looks like we can leave this one intact and just take the belly pan off all in one piece instead of as a clamshell. Here's that belly pan removed. You can kind of see how it goes together. It's kind of got these clips that go together almost like a zipper. You can see where the 3 millimeter, 3 millimeter, 3 millimeter, 3 millimeter, and these are where the 4 millimeters go as well. But just thought having a visual of it taken apart would, or off the bike would actually help you guys remove it without scratching it. There's that upper fairing all removed. Not super difficult, but you do need to be very, very careful. It is a little bit tricky. So besides all the obvious ones, right, you got the ones that you could obviously see, boom, 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 all 4 millimeter. You do need to remove these as well. These are 2.5 millimeters. So you got one there, you got one there, and then there's actually right here, that's actually a Torx. So that's a number 20 Torx. So watch out for that one. Don't try to stick an Allen in there. It is a Torx. When you remove that one and this one, okay, this one and the Torx here, this will actually come off, and there's another fastener underneath. I will show you guys that in a moment. Also, there's these clips in here, one there, one here, one all the way up here. Let me show you that from the other side. I'm trying to be as detailed as possible so you guys don't mess this up. But you can kind of see there's that clip. There's another clip there. Now with those 3 clips, I just used a really thin flat blade screwdriver, super thin one. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna pry on it like so, very, very carefully. Obviously make sure you don't slip. If you slip, you're gonna scratch your plastic or you're gonna scratch your fork, so be very, very careful there. There are 3 of those clips. You got another Allen key here. That's a 3 mil. And there's a Phillips screw somewhere. Yep, there's a Phillips screw there that you're gonna have to remove as well. Here's that little 2.5 mil Allen I was talking about. That is underneath this. So this goes like so. Once you remove that, it reveals that. So do not forget that, you will break it. Once you get all the fasteners loose, everything's taken off. And just one more quick thing before somebody points this out, before somebody comments on it. The bike did already come like this. The dealership ordered a new winglet for me, but this damage was already there. But anyways, once you get everything loosened, kind of towards the front of the bike, if you take the fairing and kind of pull down and rearward, it will come loose. Again, don't force anything. Be very, very careful. Go very slow, and it will come away. Now we need to remove all this plastic trim. So you can see some 4 mils here, 4 mil, 4 mil. There's a 4 mil up top as well. It's hard to get a shot of it, but it is right there. Obviously there's one on this other side too, but that is a 4 mil. I'm trying to get my camera to focus. Okay, so this is not gonna be too fun, but all this plastic needs to come off. So that bottom oil cooler guard comes off really easy. So it's just the 4 here and then the 4 mil here. So pretty simple. This upper shroud looks a little bit complicated to remove because it's got all these electronics. So I'm gonna try to keep it. What I've done is I've loosened it. There were a few more 4 mils here. Okay, so I got that all loose. I think I'm gonna remove this reservoir bottle as well, just so I'm not putting pressure on it, but hopefully I can, that'll give me enough space to slip that radiator guard in. So it looks like I didn't have enough room to just kind of drop this out of the way. So what I'm doing now is I'm removing both of these fasteners. They're 2.5 mil. As you can see, I've also dropped that coolant bottle as well. Once you have all those fasteners dropped, this is what it'll look like. This piece is completely loose. So the reason why it's not coming totally off is because there's still some wiring attached, which I'm gonna leave if at all possible. Same thing with this loom here. I'm gonna leave it all attached, but it is nice and loose, so I should be able to get in there now. Getting the radiator guard prepped to go on. Evotech wants you to put these neoprene strips on. It does come with them in the kit. I want you to put these strips on. Make sure you put them on the back side. Do not put them on the front. See how this is the front side. This is the side that's gonna be facing out towards the front of the bike. This is the side that's gonna be facing rearward towards the radiator. This is where they want those neoprene strips. So let's go ahead and try to stuff it in there. It's the same deal with the oil cooler guard. Evotech wants you to put these neoprene little rectangles on the back of it. Again, notice how mine's orientated. Make sure you put them on the right side. It does come with them. Just a note, the neoprene little squares for the oil cooler guard are thicker than the ones for the radiator guard. So make sure you don't mix them up. And surprisingly, with everything loose, it was very easy to get the radiator guard in. It just kind of goes up and over the radiator. It does kind of clip on towards the top, but it's very self-explanatory. It's very easy once all this stuff is loose and out of the way. Okay, once you have that radiator guard hung, you do need to remove this clip here. It just comes right off. It's very simple. And the reason why we're gonna do that is we are going to replace that clip with one of these. Okay, it comes with the kit obviously, and use these fasteners, and I'll show you what that looks like right now. So obviously this isn't tightened down yet. I just have it mocked up here so I can move the guard around to get it in perfect place, but you can see the brackets here. There's our fastener with washer, and then these are the little 2.5 mil screws. So very simple. In place of that clip, putting that bracket with these fasteners. Okay guys, so not gonna lie, a little bit disappointed with how the Evotech radiator guard fits. If you look here, this side fits perfectly, right? There's like a little raised portion that fits perfectly with the radiator guard, okay? The raised portion is on the radiator itself, and then it goes in this little hole here, okay? So look at that side. Now when I come over here, look at how it fits here, okay? So, little off there. I thought about maybe opening up this hole a little bit to make it fit better, but I don't want to make this too thin either. So I'm just gonna leave it. It does still clip on, right? It is snapped onto the radiator, okay, but I'm not too happy with how that fits. So I gave in, took the whole freaking thing apart again, and I kind of egged this hole out so it would fit better. Also a note, now I'm noticing it's actually better if these neoprene squares are closer to the inside. So don't put them too far out, put them closer to the inside. It'll protect the radiator better. So there's the radiator guard all installed. See the brackets there, everything's fitting much better now that I egged these holes out. So that one, as well as the one on the other side, yeah, I had to egg them out quite a bit. But now it's sitting as it should. Let me get a light on there, right? See, it's sitting as it should. It's sitting nice and flush. So hopefully, if you guys buy these radiator guards, you don't have to do that, but that's what I had to do with mine. I thought this was interesting too. That oil cooler, it's actually a KTM part. So with the oil cooler guard, I noticed that it came with this little piece of silicone. The instructions do not mention this piece at all. I have no idea where it goes. The only place I could think of where it might go is here. It's the only place where it kind of fits. See that? So that's where I'm gonna put it, but the instructions do not mention this piece at all. Next step, you go ahead and take the supplied tie straps and you kind of wrap them around the this through bolt here, and that's just gonna kind of hang that oil cooler guard on there. I'll show you that in a minute. And I wanted to show you guys this. It actually looks worse in person, but yeah, Rock already tagged this oil cooler, so I'm gonna have to kind of straighten that out. Oil cooler guard is on. Not a huge fan of this. Those tie straps, they just go in through these eyelets here and hold that guard on. However, it does clip on the bottom, right? So it's got these two kind of clips that it did clip on positively, so the fit is really nice there. Just, yeah, not a super huge fan of that, so I'm just gonna take some flesh cutters and cut off the excess. But that oil cooler guard is on. So now we have to remove these 4mm screws so we can put this guard back on. In the instructions, it makes no mention of what this washer is for. There's two of them, so these washers makes no mention of what these are for, so we'll have to figure that out. It does mention that stainless like slug, and then this this fastener, so hopefully we can figure out where this needs to go. Here's that stock plastic guard. We can see the fastener, that like that stainless slug, and then that black washer. Since instructions don't tell me where it needs to go, I put it here. I think that's the only place where it makes sense for it to go. You know, again, don't know if that's right because the instructions don't even mention it, but that's the only place that I could think of, is putting it there basically between the plastic guard and the bracket itself. So that lower grill did go in. It looks like, just as I suspected, those washers do go on the backside here between the plastic grill and that bracket. If you look real close here, this actually doesn't fit super good, so I'm not that pleased with how this fits. It looks like the curvature is not quite correct on this radiator guard, but I mean, it is what it is, not the end of the world, but I did notice that that's not the best fitting piece I've ever seen. Did go ahead and start getting this, I don't know what this is called here, but this kind of plastic sheathing or plastic trim, I guess. So just be careful. This does slip under the headlight, so be careful there. And I'm just gonna start with these two 2.5 millimeter screws. I'm gonna start in the center, kind of line everything up and just go from center to the outside and hopefully get everything lined up the way it's supposed to be. Okay, got that shroud completely on, as well as that washer bottle. So 4 mil, 4 mil. Don't forget there's a 4 mil way up there as well on each side. And then there's these 2.5s here. Again, just this thing, it's a little bit tricky to get it back on, so just take your time and you'll be fine. Don't rush it, don't force anything. Pretty much got the upper fairings back on. Only tip I would give is there's these little fingers here that slide behind the headlight when you're reinstalling the fairings, so just be careful of those, don't force them. After that, 4 mil, 4 mil, 4 mil, another 4 mil. You've got your clips in here, 1, 2, 3 clips. I would give a little bit of a tip though. When you put the clips back in, okay, make sure you orient them in such a way to where when you come back in for next time, you can get to it easily. If you orient them 90 degrees, so if you orient them where you gotta pry either from the top or from the bottom, it's a lot harder to get to as opposed to getting to it from the side. Then as we come up front, you've got a Phillips head here. It's real hard to see, but there is a silver Phillips in there. And you've got a 3 mil there. And then don't forget these little 2.5 mil screws as well. And something that I did notice, one quality issue I noticed with the Aprilia, one of the screws is kind of stripped, so I'm gonna have to kind of chase that. Initially, the screw was here, and I thought it was just loose, but actually it was stripped, and then whoever assembled it at the factory didn't bother to replace the screw. So got that belly pan back on, real simple, just 4 mil, 4 mil, and then a bunch of 3 mils down at the bottom. Only tricky thing, make sure that you have all your drain tubes routed properly. There's one towards the front and then there's one at the back there. Other than that, really easy, really straightforward. So that took quite some time to complete this project. It took me about 4.5 hours to complete it from start to finish. However, that does include filming. It's also my first time removing all the fairings and everything like that. So I was trying to be really, really careful because I'm just not familiar. I didn't want to mix up any of the fasteners or anything like that. Not gonna lie too, pretty disappointed with how the Evotech radiator guards fit. Having to egg out the holes, the contour not being quite right, the instructions not being so good either. It didn't explain what some of the washers were for. It didn't explain what that, I don't know if you guys remember, but that little silicone strip didn't explain what that was for either. So a little bit disappointed. That hasn't been my experience with Evotech. Evotech in the past has made really, really high quality products. Have had no issues with fitment at all. This particular product, the quality is really good, but I would say that the fitment and overall finish is really could be better. It's not the worst, but it could definitely be improved. That's for sure. And there's the finished product, guys, all installed. Let me get a little closer. So overall, it looks pretty good. I've always liked the Evotech pattern. I always thought it looked really premium. Again, you can kind of see the contour not being totally right. It's not a huge deal. I could definitely live with it, but I wish that was a little bit better. But overall, happy with it. Looks pretty good. And again, it'll give me a little bit more protection, seeing as even in just 400 miles, I already got a dent in the oil cooler. There we go, guys. I know not the most exciting video you've ever seen, but I really wanted to make this video just more to be helpful for RSV4 owners. You know, you think it'd be a really easy project to just put radiator guards on your bike, but and in most cases it is, but for the RSV4, you do have to take apart quite a bit. There are a few things that are not necessarily hard, but just a little bit tricky. You know, again, I'm overall happy with the product. If anybody knows of a better fitting radiator guard set, please let me know down in the comments. But I think I can live with the way this one fits. Again, I just wish I didn't have to egg out the holes up top. I don't really like the whole tie strap thing. It has the tie straps holding that oil cooler on, especially seeing oil cooler guard on, especially seeing on the other side of those tie straps, the header is actually right there. So I'm not quite sure how long that's gonna last. It won't fall off or anything because it is clipped on, but I wish they had a little bit better mounting solution there. Instructions could certainly be better as well. Certain things were just not explained very clearly or at all. They were just completely omitted. Lastly, thank you so much for joining me, guys. Really appreciate it. There's gonna be a lot more RSV4 content on the way. Parts are still rolling in. I promise the next video will be a little more exciting. This one here is more just straight informational, just trying to be helpful to other Aprilia owners. But a lot more parts are coming in for the RSV4, more parts coming in for the XSR. I actually have parts coming in for the Panigale V2 also. They've been on order since October. So hopefully I get those soon. If you guys can, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. But regardless, thank you very much for joining me. We'll see you guys next time.